Good afternoon, student. For today's second session of SAP, we have Nagraj sir with us. Nagraj sir, you can proceed with your class, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Kunal.
Welcome, sir.
So, a warm welcome to all the attendees. So, we had stopped the morning session or the first half session, understanding how SAP is bifurcated. What do you mean by modules? What are the functional? What are the technical modules? Just a moment. So, I hope it was fairly simple enough for you to understand. No problem. If you still have any questions or any repetition if you want, I'm more than happy to do so. So we were discussing about the functional and the technical modules in SAP. And also just before we close the morning session, we spoke about the importance of the finance module. Um, it could be with or without SAP. So finance being an integral part of any business. So it becomes very obvious that the finance module or the finance person or the finance consultant plays a very important role. Now, coming to another question. Now, consultant, consultant or consultants. So in the SAP environment or in an SAP project, based on the requirement of the project, let us say, like I said in the morning, I cannot have the same set of solutions for different kinds of industries. So if I have worked on, say, a telecom project, I cannot apply the same solutions to the food industry. So if I have worked on the food industry, I cannot apply the same solution to the media industry. So, and it is also not so that I require all the modules as far as the functional modules are concerned, at least, it is not required that I require all the modules. Simple reason. If I'm not in a manufacturing industry, do I require a production department? Do I require a production module to be implemented in SAP? I don't think so. I may be in a I may be in a service industry. So in that case, I would use SAP in a different way rather than applying the same solutions as that of the earlier project of mine. So the solutions also differ based on the issue, based on the project, based on the industry, based on the requirement. I meaning a consultant, will design the SAP product to suit the requirement of the company for which I am implementing SAP. So the person who designs So to meet the organizational requirements or the organizational needs, I would design the SAP product to suit that requirement. That is the role of a consultant. Clear? Just a moment. I will show you the other. So in the morning, we had seen all this. What kind of, when we were talking about our country and the organizations which use SAP. These are just a few examples. That's it. Just to tell you how deeply SAP has penetrated. And as you can see, the various nature of the business. Yeah, I'll come back to this a little later. So you have another person who makes use of the SAP system by being a consultant. He is actually the architect who designs the SAP product based on the organizational requirements. So as I said, it may not be happening that I have made a note of all the functional modules. So all the functional modules are there in the project. No, it may not be so, or rather it will not be so. Yeah, I gave you an example of what if I'm in a service-based industry, service-based business. I wouldn't even have a production department in my organization. Clear? So that is the reason as to why the responsibility changes. So tomorrow, or rather at the end of this particular session, last session of the particular program where we are actually interacting, you are supposed to know the SAP system. And the bottom line is you should be comfortable enough to use the system, not as a consultant, but as an end user. So now we are seeing the roles of two different sets of people who are actually making use of the SAP system. So who is the consultant? Consultant is the architect. Perfect. What are his responsibilities? First and the foremost, understand what is the business of my implementing partner. Why does the other organization ever want the SAP product? What is its business? Does SAP suit the requirements? How has it designed the? Can you see the other point? What are the major business procedures? So from morning onwards, we are talking only about the business procedures or the, what is the other name? Processes, business processes. Do you have a set of guidelines what your organization follows? For example, if I have to procure 50 kgs of raw material, probably it may cost my company say around, say some 85 lakhs. Sorry. Do I have an approval process for the purchase order? Obviously, I'll be having a purchase order approval. Who should approve? Based on the value of the purchase order, which are the departments who should actually validate this purchase order and finally approve the purchase order? Did you understand the scenario? Now, my company would have a process. Let me assume Above 75 lakhs, my DGM finance should approve the purchase order. There has to be some discipline, right? Followed in the business. So over and above 75 lakhs purchase order, both your purchase department head and the finance department head should approve this purchase order. That could be what your organization is for. And you cannot say it is wrong. It is my business process. Now, below 75 lakhs, my senior level management can approve. My senior manager finance can approve the purchase order. Below 50 lakhs, my officer can approve. My first level manager can approve the purchase order. So like this, what are the business processes? What are the business procedures being followed in the company where SAP is going to be implemented? That needs to be looked into. And not only this process, any other processes, like how does the material flow from one department to another department? Is there a set rules being followed by the organization? So like this, there are n number of things what a consultant needs to understand. Why? He needs to design the same set of procedures in SAP. Because if the organization is not happy with the SAP product, it will simply say, why do I want SAP? I'm happy with the product, whatever I am using. I don't want to invest so much on SAP. Okay, so that is the reason as to why the consultant should be an expert in understanding the business requirements and as well as an expert in the field of SAP. Suppose he has to deliver a solution in SAP. He should know SAP, right? Suppose the implementing partner requests a particular thing to be delivered or a particular operation which has to be done in SAP. So is it possible in SAP? That in the very first place, the consultant should know, and how best in SAP it can be done. So these suggestions are also expected from the consultant because he is expected to be an expert in both in understanding your requirements and also in SAP. Clear? Okay. What are the major links? Like which I was just talking to you in length about all this, understanding how does the information flow from one department to another? How is it flowing now? How can the SAP system deliver this thing in a much better way? So all these expert advices are expected from the consultant. Yeah. Now, map the solutions in SAP as per the desired expectations. So you need to understand both the requirements and design the same in your SAP system. So once you design the solution, what would you do? First thing you configure. You design the solutions in the SAP system. Test them. You need to test on your own. You should understand the requirement and test if you have set the things based on the requirements of the user, based on the requirements of the business organization, and demonstrate the solution. Look, this is the way it is going to look like once you start using SAP. So he should sit with the business organization and discuss the solutions also. He should demonstrate the solution for the implementing partner and give him a view of how things would look after SAP takes over his business. After he starts operating on the SAP system, this is how it looks like. All right. Okay. So we saw the so he needs to test the solution, demonstrate the solution to the business organization, and finally, he is responsible for delivering a competent solution for the business issue. So this is the role of a consultant. So who's the other person who uses the SAP system? End user or end users. Just hold on. Please hold on. Okay, so consultant is one person who uses the SAP system, and the other person is the end user who uses the SAP system. Sorry. Who simply uses the SAP system. Why? To carry out the everyday business transactions. Suppose I am attached to the accounts payable department. So my job is to enter the vendor invoices. So I, being an end user in the accounts payable department, I simply enter the invoices, say, I mean, the purchase invoices. That's it. So my only responsibility is to know how to use the SAP system for my everyday transactions. My role ends there. That's it. I don't have to understand the whole functioning of the SAP system. No, I'm not intended to do so. Clear? Now, so in the live projects, what happens typically is the consultants train the end users to work on the SAP system. Yeah. So it is the consultant who trains. Normally, who are the end users? They are the employees of the implementing organization. That is it. The company which is implementing SAP, I as a consultant need to train them, and they are referred to, or they are called as end users. Yeah. There could be, say, super power users. So I was just giving an example in the morning of a clerk. So I, as a clerk, what is my responsibility? I need to simply enter the invoices. That's whereas my manager, he would be having more access to the SAP system. Okay. So he becomes either a super or the power user. He will be having access to various confidential reports, which I may not be in a position to do that. All right. So there are people like super users, power users, whatever. So basically, they are not involved in the designing of the SAP solutions. In fact, they are the people who give the requirement to the consultant. Okay, if I want to implement a solution for the accounts payable department, how will I know how the accounts payable department is working? I said I need to understand the process. So who will give me the who will make me understand the process? It is nothing but the accounts payable person, the people working in the department, who are the end users. They tell me as to what is the requirement and how they were doing things, or rather how they are doing things presently. So I will tell them how things will change after they start working on SAP. Clear what I said? If there are any questions, let me take it up. Somebody is telling audio, no, it's not working. You're not able to hear to me. Okay. So I'm assuming that you're all able to hear. I'm audible. All right. So now, so since morning, we came to know what is ERP, a brief introduction to what is SAP, where and how SAP is being made use of, how SAP is bifurcated, what are modules, who are the different sets of people who are using the SAP system. Yeah. So Any questions from your end? I can pause for 2 minutes. That should not be a problem. Okay. जो ऑडियो के बारे में जो कोई भी बोल रहे थे कि ऑडिबल नहीं है, कंफर्म कर दिए, थैंक यू। Is a session driving you to learn SAP? Is it getting more and more interesting, or how are you guys feeling? Of course, maybe it's a little premature for me to ask you a question in the very second session, but I just want to understand if something needs to be done, or you can ask your students, you can even ask me questions, people who know SAP, however little, or people who would have got their friends in the field of SAP, if you have heard about some very interesting conversations, you have heard about a terminology here and there, please go ahead and ask me. That makes the session more and more interesting, because we'll be taking some time even before we get into the, what should I say, the SAP system itself. No doubt I'll be showing it to you, but that may take quite some time because I need to be very, very sure about how comfortable are the sessions in order to you to understand what is your comfort. Yes, guys, you can please go ahead and ask me questions. Whatever, whatever. It may not be pertaining to the morning session or whatever. You can ask me any questions. If it is appropriate, I will answer immediately, or I will postpone that question to the next appropriate time. Yeah, good. Thanks. We'll pause for 1 more minute and then I will start. Can we get a list of all modules? You definitely can. Yes, you definitely can. Lots and lots of modules are there. Lots and lots of modules. The things what I have mentioned is only, say, important ones or the most common ones. You have quality management, you have uh, warehouse management. All these are also modules. You have project systems. Okay. You have many, 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 many modules. It's not only 10, 20, more than that, more than that. Okay. Okay, we'll get back to the course content. Let me see if I come across any new term. Okay, so this was the course content. I hope I have shared the screen. So these are all very, very generic slides, which you can, I strongly believe that you can definitely go through all these. Okay. And probably once in a while, I'll come back to these basics, and then uh, there could be some places where I would have just stopped in between or abruptly. The reason is you will understand things much better at the appropriate moment. Okay, and let me come to that appropriate moment, and then I'll come back to such topics. Okay. So I'll just skip these things. Okay. Ah, another important terminology what we came across. If you read this line, enterprise resource planning involves the integrated management of primary business operations, typically in real time, facilitated by the software and the technology behind it. Okay, let me get back to this. Now, whatever literature you read on SAP, it is just not SAP. It is, I think people would have seen this, SAP R3. Now, what is this SAP R3? Now I'm coming to the architecture of SAP. So we just heard typically in real time. Now, what is this real time? Now, I say, what is the basic requirement of an ERP product? Timeliness of the information and the accuracy of the information. Correct? How do I enable, or how do I achieve that? How do I achieve that timeliness of the information? I want it now. I want the position of the inventory right now. Because I have to plan, being the finance head, I need to plan something. So I want to get the inventory position, say in the next 5 minutes. So should the system give it to me or not? Obviously, it should give me. So how does the system achieve this? It is through a processing technique called as real-time processing of the data. So what happens? Now, suppose I enter a journal voucher worth 5,000 rupees. I have expended 5,000 rupees for some small expenses. I bought some stationery, I bought something, whatever, for 5,000 rupees. Now how do I get this information? I need to enter this journal voucher into the SAP system, and once when I save the data, when I push this transaction into the SAP system, the system should immediately reflect the balance. It should immediately debit 5,000 rupees to the purchase account and immediately credit the cash account for this particular purchase, or else my cash position would not have changed. Yeah. So this 5,000 rupees should be affected immediately. This is called as real-time processing of the data. So SAP takes care of this particular processing technique. SAP processes data in the real-time basis. You have various other techniques, batch processing, whatever. Okay. So this is your R. R stands for real-time processing of the data. As soon as you save the transaction, the financial position immediately changes. The debit and the credit immediately is reflected. Clear, students? This is your real time. Now, I will just take you through the so you saw this. So R/3 real time processing. See, real time process integration. I think by now you would have fairly understood what integration is about. Don't worry, we have the topic flexibility. Flexibility of using the SAP product across various lines of business. Correct? So designed for all businesses. Worldwide usage. See, somebody was asking me for the list of modules. Can you see this? Quality management, HR, production planning, SD, asset management, project systems, IS. Okay, let me get into this. Now, when I was referring, and students, let me also tell you that these are not the only modules. There are n number of modules. Let me see if I can get the complete list, but I doubt. Okay, now we were discussing, or rather we were discussing what is the, so we understood what R was, real-time processing. This is your three-layered architecture. Three layers of SAP. One is your presentation layer. What is presentation layer? I, as an end user, okay, should have a place. I should have a place where I need to enter the data. So I can enter the data on the laptop or on a desktop. So the laptop screen, the desktop screen on where you're entering the data is referred to as the presentation layer. The monitor is called as a presentation layer. Now, what is application? The place where the data gets processed. What is processing of the data? Suppose I have a purchase order for 100 kgs of material. at say 200 rupees per kg. So the mathematics 100 into 200 against which vendor? Vendor ABC Limited. All this data, all this information is getting processed at the in the application layer. What and finally, where is the data getting stored? The data is getting stored in the database layer. So I think in the morning we had uh, quite a good discussion on the database. What SAP is using, right? This is your three-layered architecture. So what are they? Presentation, presentation is the area where you're entering the data. Application is a place where the data, whatever you're entering, is getting processed. And finally, the database is the place where the data what you have entered is getting stored. Clear? These are your three layers. Now, did SAP take birth as SAP R3 itself? No. The earlier it slowly progressed from R2. In the R1 scenario, there was no distinction between these layers. In the R2, these two were as one layer, presentation and the application. Database was a different layer because what could have been the business requirement? The fetching of the data would be faster. So the processing and the data entry would take place in one area and it would go and sit in a different place in the database. So Oracle and HANA, we spoke about it today morning. Clear? So for the faster retrieval of the data, SAP progressed from R1 to R2 to R3. Now we are talking about HANA. Okay. Now, how is the data getting stored in SAP? Be it HANA or ECC, Oracle database, or in your HANA database. How's data getting stored? They are getting stored in the form of tables. Each kind of data is getting stored in a specific table. Like say, your customer is getting stored in one table. Vendors are getting stored in one table. Bank information is getting stored in one table. Tax information is getting stored in one table. Your general ledger accounts are getting stored in one table. Your assets are getting stored in one table. Materials are getting stored in one table. Okay. So here again, you need to distinguish in the sense what kind of data SAP is dealing with. In the sense, you have two kinds of data. Master data transactional data. Now, what is this master data and what is the transaction data? Anybody has an idea? And both these data, they are getting stored in respective tables. Yeah. Does anybody have a idea about what is master data, what is transactional data? I will pause for 2 minutes and I'll be ready to take up your answers, or rather your questions also. But please try to answer if you are able to. If any one of you know what is master and what is transactional data. Okay, take 2 minutes. Let me know. I don't want you to answer this question from the SAP perspective. Please make that point very, very clear. Okay. I will tell you the reason as to why I made the statement. Okay, I have not got any answers now, and I made a statement with or without a say. Please understand why I said this. After all, what is SAP? You are converting the business based on your convenience. It is a medium through which you are carrying out all your business operations, which you could do even without SAP. So always try to understand the topic from the business perspective and later convert the requirement into SAP. You have still not reached a position where you can think from the SAP perspective. So think only, give me answer only from the business perspective. See, we as consultants who have more than say 1.5 decades of SAP experience, we always think from the business perspective and later apply to SAP. It's not the other way around. It is not the vice versa. That is how SAP should be learned. Always it is the business which comes first. And later SAP. How you are going to convert your business requirement into SAP? That is the second question. But the first and the primary question is, have you understood the business requirement? So generally what happens, even when you get a job as an SAP consultant, you can be addressed even as a business analyst. Okay, you can even be addressed as a business analyst because that is where your job comes into picture. You can become a consultant later provided you are good in understanding the business requirements. Clear, students? Now, what is this master data? What is this transactional data? Now, let me take up the same purchase activity. My business is purchasing lot of raw materials from a specific vendor, Measures ABC Limited. So Measures ABC Limited, his details, where he is located, his address, who's the contact person, what is the phone number, all this information becomes the master information of my vendor. For example, for example, you get employed tomorrow. You get into an organization. So how will you be recognized by the organization? So an organization can have 20-25 Ramesh. How is one Ramesh identified from the other Ramesh? It is through the unique employee ID. So one Ramesh will not be having the same ID as the second Ramesh. Yeah. So one Ramesh may be working in the production department. Another Ramesh may be working in the HR department. Another Ramesh may be working in some other department. Okay. So all of them would be identified by their unique employee ID, which constitutes the master information of the person, of the employee. So one Ramesh may be in area A, area B, area C. So I will be having the addresses of all the Rameshes. Okay. So what does this become? This becomes the master information as far as the specific employee is concerned. Now, coming to the transactional information. What is the transactional information? The salary paid for one Ramesh to another Ramesh and another Ramesh is different. One Ramesh may be getting 50,000, another Ramesh may be getting 80,000, another Ramesh may be getting 1,20,000. Here, so all these become the transactional information. Yeah. So this is the master data. This is the transactional data. So in SAP ECC as well as HANA also, the data is getting stored in the database in the form of tables. Yeah. Now, if you take up an employee record, suppose I want the information of one Ramesh working in the, let us say, as a vice president of the organization. Okay. Now, I will be having his employee ID. His address. So all this information will be in the master table. So you have different tables for having the master data information as well as the transactional data. Now, each of the information within the table, be it transactional table or the master data table, These individual information, it is referred to as fields. So the tables consist of fields. Are you getting my point? So all this information all right. So all this, they are referred to as the individual fields in the table. Was I clear enough to explain this? So we will definitely come across these terms called as the master data and the transaction data in the slides. So this will help you to understand things with more clarity. That is what I have assumed. Please tell me if I am right or wrong. I am ready to take up your questions if you have any. Perfect. Master data is permanent in nature, whereas transactional one is a recurring one. Absolutely. Perfect. Very good. Master data may be referring to the inbuilt data. What is inbuilt? I didn't get that word inbuilt, but anyway, descriptive, yes, it gives you a description of the particular content. Suppose I'm looking for a particular employee. This gives me more description about that particular employee. Correct. There you're right. Correct. Correct. More static data. Correct. So things which may not change frequently. So the employee will not change his house every day so that his address changes. So he will not change his name every day. Correct. So his designation will not change every day. His salary will not change every day. So data which remains constant for a larger time period is referred to as master. It remains static. It remains stationary. It remains constant. Perfect definitions. Very good. Perfect. And the only thing what I have added is there are tables taking care of your master as well as your transactional information. Yeah, very good. Kunal, with this, can we break for 10 minutes?
Sure, sir. We can take a break for 10 minutes and by 3:10 we will join.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, students will take a break for 10 minutes and we'll reassemble by 3:10. Thank you. Okay, dear students, shall we start? Right now,
Yes, sir. We can start.
yeah, sure. So we were just trying to catch up with uh, the slides and as well as the topics relating to SAP and the most commonly used terms in SAP. So we are slowly trying to get used to this. Okay. So now we understood the architecture of SAP also. Clear? So as I said earlier, please go through this. It is a wonderfully prepared country. Okay. Uh, you will be only, I think you will appreciate the content if you listen to it, if you listen to the audio also. You know, last time we had activated that thing, right? Where the students could also hear to the audio. Where is that setup? Okay, I'll try to find it out. Okay, so can you see this? What we were talking about, the tables, the fields. I don't think there is a mention of these terms, but typically, yes, we do call them as the fields within the tables. Okay. So everything is self-explanatory. The only thing is you need to spend some time reading this. Please do so and come back to me with any of your questions. So you just saw this future-proof the organization for the expansion of Internet of Things. So this is exactly the what your HANA does. So in HANA, we have a concept called as, I'm talking to you only from the HANA perspective. Okay. So I'll add it here itself. So typically we have a concept called as Fiori, which is nothing but your app. You have so many apps in your mobiles. So what do I mean by apps? Now, suppose I work in the general ledger accounting section. So I am responsible for consolidation, entering journal vouchers. Okay. Now, in that case, why should I want the whole FI module to be there in my system? Now, see, when we were talking only from the ECC perspective, we were talking about your laptops or your desktops. Now, HANA has simplified things so much that now you can access your SAP on your mobile phones, your tabs. This is how SAP has progressed. See how SAP has kept in touch with the business requirements. Now, how does it help me? Now, let me say I am a salesman for my company. So what is my job? I need to book sale orders for my company's products. Fine. Now, so what do I do every day? I go to the customer's place, talk to the representative there, book the order, come back to my organization and enter that particular sale order in my system. I would do this, right? Be it SAP or non-SAP, I would do this. Now with SAP, what can I do? I, as a salesman, I need not even have to go to the office. I can simply go to the customer's place, talk to him, book the sale order then and there, and enter the same sale order in the SAP system itself. I don't have to make notes in a scratch pad, then come back to my office and then convert it into SAP data. I don't have to do it at all. Through Fiori, what I could do is I could extract the portion of SAP what only I wanted, and you can extract what you wanted, only you wanted. That's it. You're not interested in what I am doing, or neither I am interested in what you're doing. I don't want your access. I don't want to know what you're working on. I need to finish my work. So what SAP has done is it has developed something called as Fiori, clear, which has where you can design your apps. There is an other terminology called as tiles. So my sale order will be one tile. My sales invoice will be another tile if at all I am allowed to do that activity in my organization, right? So based on my role, I would access the tiles which only I am supposed to work upon. I need not have to have the whole of the SAP system in my mobile. Sounds interesting? This is how SAP has moved, has upgraded itself based on the requirements of the business. So each and every time the business requirement changed, SAP transformed itself to develop that particular requirement in SAP. You may come across this in one of your slides in the very initial things. Okay, don't worry. Even if I have missed out something, I'll definitely revisit and complete the topic. Let us see what else is there. So all these are very, very generic slides. Please go through them. Yeah. Digitalization of the world. So all are self-explanatory, right? So I would suggest please open up and read general understanding. There's nothing specific to uh, SAP only. Okay. That's why I said, if at all you want to understand a subject like SAP, you should be very good in analyzing the business. Normal business, what you see each day, what you see day in and day out. Your OLTP and OLAP is your real-time data processing, online transaction processing. Clear? Yeah. Probably you are not in a position to understand the column and the row concept. This is how the data is getting stored in a SAP. I said you have definite master tables and definite transactional tables, and each one of the tables has the relevant fields. Fields is nothing but the information. That's clear. Now, in the ECC and in HANA, how was the data getting stored? In the ECC SAP, the data was getting stored in the vertical way, row wise. Clear? Now, your HANA SAP stores the data horizontally. You may not be in a position to understand this very clearly, but this is your row and column. Just know that your data was getting stored in the form of rows in the earlier versions of SAP. Now the data, the same data is getting stored in the form of is getting stored in the horizontal form, in the horizontal manner. Why is this happening? It is for you to retrieve the data much faster. There is no, in the first case itself, there was no redundancy of data. SAP had almost removed the redundancy of data even in the ECC itself. But when it upgraded itself to HANA, it became even more redundant or even more essential that even the smallest of the redundant data, what it could find, it removed that also. Repetitive data got removed so that your data access became faster. You could save a lot of time in retrieving the data. Just imagine companies like Tata's, your Reliance, how many records do you think they'll be having? Millions. So just imagine if I have to retrieve a data pertaining to a transaction in April or May 2025. How much should the system search? Did you understand? So this is how SAP, by giving you the horizontal storage methodology, it is saving a lot of your table space also, the database space also, it is getting saved as well as the retrieval time. Okay. So I'm going to skip all these slides. It is unless and until I find a new term, I will not be stopping. I'll simply keep skipping these slides. Now, what is this cloud? I think your generation maybe knowing more about the cloud. Any idea? You're most welcome to give me answers. Somebody take a chance. What do you mean by cloud? Because when you're talking about HANA, we are talking about the storage on the cloud. And also you can own a cloud, okay, where you are not responsible for managing the data. You leave the responsibility of managing your data with a cloud vendor. He manages the data, right? Or you can also work on the hybrid, where you can store data on the physical database as well as the cloud hybrid, or totally on premises. On premises is your own database where you have the database, what we used to call it as a dabbas. We used to call it as dabba. So we had this in our locations where the management could control the data, right? So this is your hybrid model. This is your on-premises model, or as well as your hybrid model. Clear? I think probably you may come across this also. Though I'm not see on-premise. See, it definitely provides a lot of control because you are the owner. You are having the data under your ownership. Okay. See, we have a Fiori. So we have a fair idea as to what Fiori is all about. On premise or on the cloud or a hybrid. You have a hybrid. So you have a partial. Okay. Probably you can own. You can also have a private storage location on the cloud. You can own it, just like you have your own database. You can do that also, right? You can click where it gives you the information as to what is a private cloud, what is a hybrid model, what is a public cloud. Okay. So on or off premises. It can be on premises or off premises. It can be anything. Clear? See, owned, managed, and operated by the customer or a third party who's managing your cloud or both. Okay. So hybrid. So I would suggest please go through all this. Very interesting, very generic also. I think your generation will understand this language because you're more into, uh, you're more tech savvy people. All the modern day technology. So you will be able to relate to all this much, much better. So we have seen this cloud. So probably I will just quickly go through all this and let you know if there is something for me to really interfere and then explain, or it is still okay. If you're able to understand on your own, which I'm very sure you will. Yes. So you can click on each one of it. Now here you're seeing something interesting. Success factors, Fieldglass, Ariba, Concur. Now what is all this? Now these are all the companies which are being absorbed by SAP. Now success factors was into your human resources. What SAP did was since so it imbibed the features of success factors and put it into its HR module. Clear? With Ariba, it was managing the logistics. So SAP acquired it. So they are all the companies. Now Concur. What exactly would you now suppose you are an employee of a company. So you are being reimbursed for all your expenses. So what would you do? Suppose for 1 week you have gone out of town on official business and you have spent some money on lodging, boarding. So what would you do? You would come back from the trip. You would physically submit all the bills. Correct? You agree with me? And finally, put up a statement that for all the bills, my total expenses is this, and request you to reimburse. You would again confirm it back to your company. Good. Now, what does Concur do? Now, wherever you are, now suppose I order food. Let us say I am in Delhi or in some other place. I go and order food. I get the bill. Say some 150 rupees, I get a bill. Or 200 rupees, I get my food bill. So how would Concur help me? I would simply scan the bill and push it to my relevant department. It would take care of my reimbursement. I do not have to physically key in the bill number and from where I had absolutely nothing. I scan the bill and it tells me even my location from where exactly I am actually, where exactly I have incurred the expense. Is it at Delhi or is it in Bangalore itself? So it would. So like this, SAP has improvised or constantly worked on improvising the product to meet the day-to-day changes in the business environment. The way business is happening, the way things are changing. Today it is this, tomorrow it is something else. Clear? So you can just read them. So let me spend some time on this. You can read it in your leisure. All are self-explanatory. But probably you wouldn't have got a thing of what is success factors, what is Ariba, what is Conquer, what is okay. Probably somewhere it has given the explanation also. Let me just keep skipping all this. Did you see it was the same slide? I had it in a different way. This is telling you the same information in a different, in a much better way with the updated figures. Okay, 4,20,000 plus customers, 190 plus countries, 299 million plus cloud users, 26 industries and 12 lines of businesses. SAP customers generate 87% of the global transactions. 87% of $46 trillion. Yeah. 31.21 billion euro revenue. 105,000 employees. World leader. I think my slide has second or the third leader, and so it is a world leader now. 97% of the top 100 largest companies, they are SAP's customers. So did you see this? Did you see the penetration of SAP? How SAP has penetrated into any business, each and every business almost. Yeah. Earlier, as I said, the expenditure side would have been the only consideration. If I could invest in bringing in or in implementing SAP, now it is not so. If my business wants SAP, I can buy it. Okay. So every session or every topic will start with the objectives and it will end in a summary. What are you expected to have understood at the end of this particular session? Yeah, that is your lesson summary. And probably you may be given some kind of assessment also. I'm not very sure. Basics of SAP Fiori UX. What is this UX? It is user experience. Earlier it was UI, user interface. Now it is your user UX. It is user experience. So SAP not only concentrated on the business needs of the product as to how SAP should suit the business requirements, but it also thought of improvising the customer's experience, customers' expectations, customers' ease of using the product, customers' comfort of using the product. Like I said, the salesman can open out only his area of SAP and then finish his work. Yeah. So now your user interface, your UI, has got converted into UX, user experience. Yeah. So just go through this. And here you may have, see, user experience has revolutionized enterprise user workflows by beautifying the screen. See how SAP has thought about the aesthetics of how the system should look, how system should be made to look more attractive. So the user should be happy to use it. So earlier, the businesses started looking at the customer satisfaction. So it's too slowly got converted into customer joy. Yeah, customer satisfaction got converted into customer's joy, and similarly, your user should also enjoy the fresh look of the system. And we also saw a word how it is beautified through the tiles, TILES. It is what you see on your flow, how each tile has got, it is in the form of squares, and each square, just imagine that it refers to each area of work in SAP. Yeah. So it takes into consideration the user's viewpoint also. Clear? Look at the research done by SAP. It is not only concerned about its product, it's concerned about how the user should feel using the product. How should it better itself? Clear? See, as I said, role-based. Just click on this. Just read them. Try to understand. So I said, you can use a mobile, you can use a tab, not only your traditional laptops or your desktops. Okay. So it is based on how many screens I want. I may not require more than one screen. So be it. I get only one screen. That's it. So and also, so here again, please do not try to understand letter by letter. Okay, even if you do not understand, okay, it is because you are not exposed to the practical side. So that is the reason as to why you may find some of the terms a little challenging, and do not try to understand uh, in the whole spirit. Not required. Okay, if you are able to uh, gauge the product, okay, to a large extent, not completely. You need not have to be. If I ask you something, you don't have to tell me the exact. But if you have understood the basic things, it's more than enough for you to take you further, because most of the things you need to experience, most of the things you need to work on the SAP system to really appreciate and understand. Clear? See, they dynamically adjust the resolution, the image size, and scripting as the users switch between devices. Now I see a particular SAP screen and my laptop. I'm comfortable because the, the screen is big. But if I happen to see the same screen on a Fiori app on my mobile, will it give me the same comfort? That is exactly what this line tells me. They dynamically adjust the resolution, the image size. So what will they adjust? To the device where I am looking at. The device on which I am opening that particular application. Clear? So normally you would assume that things on the mobile would be smaller. So I may have to strain my eyes to see what is there on the mobile. Nothing like it. It adjusts the resolution. So that's exactly what I said. User experience. Clear? Read this. Probably you may be in a position to understand. But as I said, even if you have not understood for the first time, it is still okay. See, I was talking to you about the slide, the tiles. This is how your tiles should look like. See, I may be given an option to see the product master data only. So I can click on this tile and SAP opens only this particular engine. So I did not have any other features of SAP in this. See, I'm also have the manage documents. See, I can create material, I can change, I can edit material, I can display the material. So I'm more concerned with managing the master data of a material. And I'm no way interested in any other details. So I have only three tiles. One, two, three. Yeah. So this is how. So what is SAP Fiori? It's a collection of apps based on the requirement, based on the role of a person who's actually wanting that particular application. See, I don't want Facebook on my mobile. It's up to me. I do not want to have Instagram on my mobile. So be it. I want only WhatsApp. Fair enough. So based on that, it all depends on what and how I want that to look like. See the same information he has said. SAP Fiori apps can be categorized by the line of business, industry, and most important, user role. What role am I performing for the organization? So based on that, I would be getting all this. See? So let us see if this has got some. So I think except for the organizational elements, which we are going to look at probably from Monday onwards, right? We are aware of, at least we have heard to these terms, three-tier architecture, master data, transactional data. Have you heard about this? Yes. So this is how, students, this is how the session will proceed. Clear? And let's keep things as simple as possible so that you are in a position to understand and appreciate the subject more than feeling complicated. Okay, let's not complicate the subject, let us simplify it. Okay, so let us proceed from slide number 42 or something for the initial moments of tomorrow's session, and later let us get on with the talks. See, if you mean by this question, if you are asking me that if the topics are repeated, yes. See, normally my way of doing things is, see, today I end something. So tomorrow what I'll do is I will have a recap of the whole of today's session, whatever has happened. It could be for 15 minutes, it could be for 10 minutes, it could be for half an hour, depending upon what questions I get from the students. So I will, but definitely, we will definitely recap the previous sessions and then start with the new session. Is that what you wanted to know? We'll do that, not a problem. Guys, was today's session interesting? Did you feel okay? SAP really sounds interesting. Did you ever get the thought? Interesting to learn. See, OLAP and your OLTP is your real-time processing. As and when you provide the transaction, it is getting processed automatically. This is your combination of your OLTP, online transaction processing, and your OLAP. Online. I still have not understood this question. I meant the previous session. Sorry, I didn't understand this question. Okay, Kunal is replying. Okay, go ahead, Kunal. Go ahead.
Sir, there is only one question for you.
What is it, Kunal? Is it not available in R3? Is that the question?
Yes.
Can you please rephrase this question? What is not available in R3? You mean to say the Fury things? Yes, they are obviously not available in R3 because that is how SAP progressed or SAP upgraded itself. I hope I answered that question. If at all I have not answered your question, please rephrase it and you can put up your question again. Yeah, online processing was C. The real-time processing was available in R3 also. Yes, it is very much available. That is why we saw SAP years ago. So from 1972 onwards, it was not SAP HANA. It was SAP ECC only. Did I answer your question? Yes, OLAP and OLTP was definitely available in R3 also. That is why SAP was in demand even before HANA. So Kunal, can we wind up if this was the question?
Yes, sir. I think only one question. I think you have already answered OLAP and OLTP in Arva 3.
Correct, correct, correct. Yeah. So we'll wind up, Kunal. Okay. If at all we have the
Sure,
same
sir.
question, yeah, we will take it up to me.
Sure. Thank you, student, for today's session. Right now, we are in the end of the session. So we are closing the session for today's. Thank you, sir. Thank you, student, for joining us for the lovely session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.